Boo, ba ba, ba ba ba, boo, ba ba. Who's the man who will speak the truth? Boo, ba ba, ba ba ba, boo, ba ba. Lone candles that burn. Who's the man who will bring light into your life? Boo, ba ba, ba ba ba, boo, ba ba. Lone candles that burn. Who's the man who digs through human excrement to present you the gems? Boo, ba ba, ba boo, ba boo, ba ba. Lone candles that burn. Who's the man who kinda sometimes knows what he's talking about? Boo, ba ba, ba ba da, boo, ba ba. Lone candles that burn. Who's the man who has a scatterbrained, low IQ, and weak memory recall? Boo, ba ba, ba ba da, boo, ba ba. Lone candles that burn. Hello, and welcome to Lone Candle Live. Today, I'm gonna maybe play golf with friends. Not sure if I'll be able to play that. But the main point to this Lone Candle Live is to ramble about Venezuela. I've set out a very detailed agenda here with an excellent map of the concerning area. As you can see, this is the United States. This is Florida. Florida, very stretched and far away as it is in real life. This is South America, obviously way smaller than North America, because North America was smaller. And Baja is actually just as thick as regular Mexico. Yeah, that's, the world, the government wants you to think that Mexico is this big and Baja is this big, but really, Baja is equally thick as Mexico. Anyways, the point is not the map, okay? And here is Venezuela, so we know what we're talking about. And all the islands, they got blown up. That's why it says boom. All right. Venezuela. What happened? Is it constitutional? Is it a good idea? And maybe some other stuff there at the bottom. So, this was a military operation. A pretty badass one. I mean, even, I'm not saying we're the bad guys, but just saying, even if the bad guys do a really badass and successful military operation, it's still kind of badass. It's still kind of wow, that's pretty impressive what they did there. Essentially, I think there was 128 aircraft involved, although, early reports are always wrong. But there were a lot of U.S. military aircraft involved, as well as Delta forces that went into Venezuela, defeated some segments of the military. Now, obviously, Venezuela chose not to all-out fight. If they did, they would have all these missiles and drones going after our ships. But some did fight back, and the U.S. attacked multiple spots, but a lot of those were as distractions to not know where the true target was. And they sent in Delta Force and captured the leader of the country and eventually took him to New York. And so it was a military operation that went in. I think maybe 40 people died, 40 enemies died. Well, we don't know how many people died, but it sounds like 40 is a number I saw. I saw some reports of some civilians who died, some civilian destruction, so I think we do have at least a few civilian deaths. We have some Venezuelan military deaths, including Cubans, who apparently Maduro's personal guard were Cuban, which is usually a sign you're a evil dictator. If you need foreign mercenaries as your personal guard, you're probably an evil dictator. But anyway, some of them died. U.S. received fire, received some minor damage. We know that some U.S. military men or women, probably men, were wounded, but the current reports are no U.S. military deaths, and went in there and captured their leader and left. So that's what happened. Now on to the constitutionality of it. Look, there's a bunch of BS out there, but the U.S. Constitution is pretty black and white. It's very clear what the founders' intentions were. It's very clear what the Constitution says. The Constitution very clearly gives the power of war, the power of deciding whether or not the United States uses military force to the Congress. Yes, it does so as a formal declaration of war, but you look at everything else in the Constitution about war powers and what that meant at the time. It was saying, hey, Congress gets to decide whether or not the United States gets to legally as in under the U.S. Constitution, go to war. It's honestly pretty black and white that's where that was. Now, do I care whether it's a former declaration or not? Not really. That doesn't really matter. What matters isn't, whether there's a formal declaration. It matters, did Congress say, yep, we can go to war here? If it did, then it's constitutional. If not, then it's illegal, unconstitutional, and, is an act worthy of impeachment. So, honestly, there's a lot of BS out there, but it's pretty black and white. Sorry, I'm playing the game at the same time. Good thing there's, for those not watching. But, that's pretty good. It's the best I've ever done at this level. It's pretty black and white. The power of war is given to the Congress. Now, if we're under attack, the president can use military forces without congressional approval. There's the War Power Acts of 1973. It doesn't really change any of these dynamics. Under the War Powers Act, the president can use military force if we're under attack or if there's congressional approval. So if there's congressional approval, all right, War Powers Act, good. President can go to war if we're under direct attack. Now, this was it has another requirement, which is consultation, which is the president needs to tell Congress beforehand if it's going to use military force, if possible. So in this scenario, it definitely was possible. This was a planned attack. And so sometime before the planning, you could secretly tell Congress. Now the administration's like, well, we couldn't consult them because they would leak. A, I don't think it's that obvious that Congress would leak. But B, even if it was, that doesn't change anything. It doesn't change that you got to consult Congress. But you could throw the consult thing away. It doesn't meet the other basic standard of the War Powers Act or the Constitution, which was the U.S. directly under attack? No, we were not under imminent attack from Venezuela. Did the U.S. authorize this military force? No, it did not. This was a clearly unconstitutional act. And, the U.S. calls itself a democracy. Part of democracy is voting, but part of it is the rule of law. And under the U.S. system, that depends on the Constitution. And there's a lot of gray areas. And so there's a lot of push and pull. The Constitution has gray areas. I'm not totally against any ideas of the spirit of the Constitution. But there really is pretty black and white. The Constitution gives the power of the decision to go to war to Congress. And in this scenario, in this invasion of Venezuela, this was an attack on a foreign country with military force, and it was not approved by Congress. We were not currently under attack. This was a unconstitutional use of military force, and, if you care about democracy, if you care about the rule of law, you should be upset about that. You should be really concerned. And this is not unprecedented. This has happened many times. I don't have the list of which U.S. conflicts or wars or military actions are illegal and which ones are legal. There's probably some debate about that, as each have all little different justifications. But several times in the past, other presidents have used military force unconstitutionally. No matter how many times someone does an illegal act, it doesn't make a future similar act legal somehow. It doesn't. Especially in a situation where, it's very clearly in the law that, this is illegal. So that really is irrelevant as far as whether it's legal or not. Now, the administration's all over the place, but a common justification I see them give is, for why it's constitutional, is, well, no, this wasn't military force. This was enforcing legal law. This was law enforcement. This was law enforcement. And so under that argument, if we're arresting a criminal who's violated federal law and they are in a foreign country, and if our military has to forcefully go into that country and use military force and kill people, and many military aircraft and military men and women to go in there, that's not military force as long as, we're, going after someone who there's a federal indictment for. Now, that's utter nonsense. One thing, something could be law enforcement and military. They could use the military to help enforce law enforcement. That's certainly true. But that doesn't make it not military force. I mean, I don't know why I have to freaking explain this. If your military is going into another country against that country's will, with force, using missiles, using guns, killing people, and in this case, to capture their leader, yeah, that's the use of military force. Whatever the objective, that is the use of military force. And under the U.S. Constitution, that has to be approved by Congress or it is illegal. You might think, oh, but the war was really fast. I don't care. I don't care if it's a 10-year world war or a little miniature war that's over really fast. It was still military force. It was still your military force engaging another country, attacking another country. It's still military use of force. It's still a little war. And the war powers have to be approved by Congress. What else is there? What else is that people talk about with the constitutionality of it? Sometimes they mention that, well, he wasn't really their leader. Hey, I don't care what your objective is. If the objective was to go there and take a shit on the lawn of some guy you don't like, if you used your military to do it forcefully, that was military use of power. It was an act of war. The objective is irrelevant. And even on that, he was the leader of the country. He was the illegitimate leader. Sure, I acknowledge that. But it doesn't matter. He was de facto, of fact, he was the leader of Venezuela. We went in and kidnapped him. We kidnapped their leader. Maybe they're a legitimate leader, but it doesn't matter. Illegitimate or not, he had the power of the country to be their leader. So anyways, that's a ramble about the constitutionality. Honestly, there's a lot of BS bad arguments out there. It's frankly pretty black and white. This is one of those things that the Constitution very clearly gave the war powers to the Congress. Congress has to approve any sort of offensive action. This was clear offensive action. We went into their country and kidnapped their leader with military force. It was a military operation, and we didn't have approval. Now, it is weird. The administration can't even keep their things straight because you got Vance, you got Rubio talking about, oh yeah, it's law enforcement, it's law enforcement. But then you have Trump going out and announcing it, saying, oh, it was the most beautiful military operation since World War II. You have Defense Secretary Hegseth, remember this is Secretary of Defense, he's in charge of the Army, not law enforcement, going there and describing the operation. You have a general, remember, a general of the military describing the operation the military planned and did. Yeah, it was a military operation. All right. Now, to discuss whether it was a good idea. So, there's a lot of really good people to describe exactly what happened, and they'll argue about whether or not it was a good idea, and they will either just ignore the constitutional issue. Oh, I've never done that in one shot before. They will either ignore the constitutional issue, or they'll dismiss it in a way that is misleading, or they actually make a really, really fast and bad argument that it's constitutional. And so I think anytime people talk about this, they need to very clearly say, hey, this was unconstitutional, that's bad. Now let's pretend like it's constitutional and talk about it, which is now what I'm going to do. So, pretending that it was constitutional or just ignoring that issue now, was it a good idea? No, Trump seems to have, 10 different reasons for doing this, and I don't really want, and seeing Trump's personality, his reasons might change from day to day. I mean, he might actually have different reasons. He might actually have different reasons, and I'm the main point of this isn't really to speculate what his reasons are. It's more to discuss, well, if there are good reasons, what are they? drugs, no, it's not worth kidnapping a leader of a country to try to fight drugs, especially when the worst drugs happening are going through Mexico and are often, at least partially produced by China. Venezuela is not like the key fentanyl problem. Plays a big role in cocaine. Cocaine's not nearly as dangerous as fentanyl. Still bad. Don't do cocaine, kids. But it doesn't make sense to use this it's a huge military operation. 128 planes. To go through a military operation to kidnap a foreign leader for drugs. That doesn't make any sense to do that. So that's not a good reason. I was doing so good in this game, and now I'm not. Oh, well. Oh, I forget that there's wind there. There's wind blowing me back. Fuck me. What was I talking about? I don't know why I decided to play this game. Oh my god! Everything's ruined now. I was doing so well in this game up until now. Anyways. Yeah, so drugs as a good reason. No, that's nonsense. Another potentially good reason is, well, we're going to get a bunch of oil. The risks involved in toppling a regime or kidnapping a leader are not worth some amount of oil. And maybe if it's a sure deal, but it's not. There's tons of risks, and it's not clear how much oil we're going to get. So Venezuela has the largest proven oil reserves, but they're a crappy country because they've had crappy leaders, crappy socialist leaders for some time. So the infrastructure's not there. We're not going to be it. They're not ready to just boom start pumping out and shipping. It requires a lot of infrastructure to get it out of the country too. They're not ready to pump out a lot of oil right now. They're ready. They can pump out some, but not a whole lot. It's going to take tons and tons. I've listened to some and read about people who know more about this than me, which almost everything I say is because I've read it or listened to it about people who know about the topic more than me. I'm not just making stuff up. I promise you. It's going to require tons of investment and maybe a decade to really get it up to speed. And so it's not a clear shot that we're going to get tons of oil profit from this, and a lot of that profit's got to stay in Venezuela for both ethical reasons, but also if you don't want a massive rebellion on your hands. So yeah, it definitely doesn't make sense to do that for oil. Although it is a nice bonus if that all works out. I mean, there's a potential nice little bonus there, but as far as enough good reason by itself, no. Even though that seems to be what Trump emphasizes. Ultimately, I'm not going to go down every possible reason. There is one possible reason that I'm sympathetic for making this war worth it, for making it make sense. And that's Chinese and Russian influence. Venezuela, let's look at the map here. I don't know how many bad things I'm revealing. Let's look at the map here, this accurate map. This is the United States. Venezuela is the U.S. neighbor here. Chinese and Russian influence here is a threat to the U.S. The U.S. could easily be in war with Russia or China in the near future. Russia over, multiple things escalating, but especially Ukraine, and China over Taiwan. Or even the Philippines or Japan. Because China's threatening a bunch of things, although they're mainly focused on Taiwan. That's a direct threat. It's a direct threat that you would have missiles based there, you could have bombers based there. And by the way, Russia has landed bombers there, supersonic bombers there in the past as a show of force in Venezuela. Venezuela let them. That's a huge problem, and China is actively trying to work on influence there. So there is a self-defense reason for wanting a friendly regime in Venezuela. And that arguably could make a successful military operation as well as long-term regime change, which again, we got to remember to talk about that, because maybe I should have talked about that first, but we'll come back to that. That could make that worth it. And another contributor to possibly making it worth it, not alone, but Yeah, Maduro was the leader of the country, but he was clearly the illegitimate leader. And it's not just because it's an authoritarian country. It's not just because it's an authoritarian country. Because you can have an authoritarian country that is essentially... you can have an authoritarian country where it's essentially an accepted dictatorship. You know, the monarchy in Saudi Arabia, and I'm no expert in Saudi Arabia, so maybe this is less true than I think, but the monarchy in Saudi Arabia is generally accepted by the people of Saudi Arabia. The Chinese Communist Party is generally accepted by the people of China. I think to some extent these are obviously immoral dictatorships, but there is some legitimacy to them. With Venezuela, Maduro just had an election. He was clearly rejected, and he stole the election. And he's crushing that country with horrible policies. So there's a certain level of illegitimacy there. So now I think next I gotta discuss the lone candle doctrine. This is the lone candle doctrine that justifies the U.S. overthrowing regime change, or really any powerful country. But no. Thinking mostly about the U.S., but really any powerful country. So one is a threat. Now, threat is not a 1 or a 0. It's not, it's a threat or it's not a threat. There's a level of threat. If it's a super high threat, self-defense alone justifies attacking that country. You don't have to sit and watch a threat to yourself being conquered just build up. You can intervene if it's a very high and imminent threat. However, if it's a more of a mid or low level threat, which is what Venezuela is. Venezuela is not justified by self-defense alone. Because it's more of a, maybe Chinese and Russian influence is bad, and they might put missiles there, bombers there in the event of a war, and that would be problematic. They're a mid-level threat, maybe even a low-level threat, but either way, that alone isn't enough to justify attacking the country. I have no idea what to do here. But, yeah. But, continuing with the lone candle doctrine here, if that mid-level threat is combined with a completely illegitimate government, which, like I described before, is not the same thing as an authoritarian government. It's not, they're not a democracy, they're not legitimate. I mean, there is some extent that I think that's true. But, okay, let's try to make sure that's working. If they're illegitimate, as I described before, and combine that with the mid-level threat, I would also, under lone candle doctrine, it could be worth it and justified, because I'm talking about both whether it's worth it, but also whether it's justified to attack that country. So what are the implications here? So that's where this could potentially be justified. Now, ultimately, on the question as well, do I agree with this? Do I agree with this attack on Venezuela? Do I? Well, I'm sort of wishy-washy. I don't feel like I have to come with a solid opinion just because I'm recording myself. No, I think an honest person should sometimes say, I don't know. And the truth is, I don't know, and a lot of it's going to depend on the outcome. So, as of right now, there isn't a regime change. As of right now, the Maduro regime is still in power. Like, for any of you who haven't been paying attention, let me state that again. The Maduro regime, last time I checked, unless something's happened in the last couple hours, is still in power. So yes, Maduro himself was kidnapped. But the Maduro regime, his vice president, who he handpicked, is in charge. All the military and militias and gangs that are part of his power, that's all the same. Nothing's changed. And so right now, what do we do? It's not clear we did anything. It's not clear that we've even created a friend. I mean, it's very nice for a country as large as Venezuela. Oh my God, and this close to the United States. Certainly make a lot of sense to have them be a friendly country, and they are not with Maduro. But it's not clear that any of that has changed. It's not clear because it's still the Maduro regime. And so, you know, as far as saying, oh yeah, this is successful, yes, the military operation of capturing Maduro was an amazing, badass success. But any larger goals, which the administration does not even really care totally what that is, I think it is to have a friendly country, as well as to go in there and get that oil. Explicitly so. It's not clear that's going to happen because it's not clear that we still have a friendly regime yet. Also, although at least some administration officials like Rubio have said, when asked, something about, oh yeah, we're going to make it a democracy eventually. They haven't really been clear on that. They just kind of suggested maybe. Oof. Oh, I didn't know there was another one of these here. Oh my god. They just kind of suggested maybe. Alright. They just suggested, yeah, maybe eventually. Trump seems to not care at all. There is an elected leader. It's kind of a weird thing because there's the leader that was supposed to run, but they were kicked out of the country, so someone else ran. The one who actually defeated Maduro in that stolen election. Well, so there's essentially a choice of two people. The person actually won in the original person's place, ran in the original person's place, and apparently really won, or that original person. If you cared about democracy, you would be trying to push them in. But the Trump administration seems to be happy to leave the vice president of Maduro, meaning the Maduro regime, in if they will be friendly to the U.S. And so Trump went out there and he announced, yeah, we're running the country now, which is clearly not true. We'd have to have people there to run the country. It's not even clear we have a friendly regime out. Because after he said we're running the country, the current leader, the vice president of Maduro, went out there and said that they reject this and that Maduro needs to be returned. So it's not clear that this was actually successful if the goal was actually having a friendly country, which, I mean, I think that clearly really was the goal. I think even Trump didn't just do this just to get Maduro, you know, we want to make sure his justice is done. No, it's to get a friendly country. Oh, I hate this level. Anyways, I told you it was going to be a ramble, okay? I even called it a ramble. Alright. That sucks. So, alright, I'm getting distracted by golf. Where was I? God damn it. I really hate this level. This level sucks. That's what I was trying to do. Ooh, it almost worked. Wait. I can golf from here? The heck? I've never been up here before. Well, how do I get back down? I've never been up here before. But can I get back down? I've ran out of free look. Oh, let's just kind of tap it out through here. What? Am I stuck here? I think this is like a bug and I'm stuck here. I don't think I'm supposed to be able to be up here. But look, it just puts me back to that spot when I move over here. Well, that sucks. Anyways, that was a disaster round. Anyways, where was I? Where was I? Yeah, so it's right now the Maduro regime is actually still in power. Now, okay, there might be some logic to trying to leave the vice president in power rather than say, oh no, we want this democratic leader. Because ultimately, one bad outcome here is a big civil war. A civil war in Venezuela isn't good for the United States. It's not good for the world, and obviously it's the worst for the people of Venezuela. So the hope might be, no, we're just going to bully the current regime and, you know, maybe we'll eventually convince them to go democracy. Maybe not. Maybe it's still worth it to get a friendly regime. Maybe. Although the doctrine seems a little weird then, since one of the doctrine is it's illegitimate. This would still be illegitimate. But maybe no, well, long term we do want to get a legitimate one in, but it's not worth the risk of chaos, and maybe we could just temporarily have the current regime there just without the previous leader in charge. But hey, we don't know if that's going to happen. Okay, it might not happen all. This might just be like, well, yeah, we had this really cool, successful operation, but Venezuela's still friends with Russia, still friends with China, and they still don't like us. They're still a bunch of socialist assholes. So, it's not clear that anything's going to happen. All right, let's say she actually does bend. She's like, you know what, I don't want to get captured myself, and, they're capturing our oil stuff, and, frankly, it would be nice if they invested a lot of stuff and make my country better by investing our oil industry and maybe other stuff. So, so maybe she does decide to play ball. So maybe she does decide to play ball, and we have this basically little dictatorial puppet in Venezuela that is now a friend of the U.S. And so you could argue that's actually a pretty big success. But if she's only friendly with the U.S. because of they're under duress and under fear of basically attack by the U.S. military, she's only going to remain friendly while that threat remains. And so, it's not really much of a success if, yes, for the final 3 years of the Trump administration, we have someone friendly in Venezuela, but as soon as the next administration enters, if they're not also willing to break the Constitution, they're not also willing to risk military force against Venezuela, they're going to go back to being unfriendly. Well, that's not really a success. One, because, when you're in a democratic country, you have to know how the country works. You have to know that you're not going to be there that long, and know that someone else might decide to do something else. And so it's not really a success if Venezuela is only friendly as long as the U.S. remains willing to risk military force. So that's not really a success. 3 years or even 7 years. Let's say, another Trump acolyte who also agrees with this policy, because not all Trump acolytes even might agree with the policy, gets in. Well, what about the next 4 years? It's not a big win if it requires constant threat of, frankly, military invasion by the United States. That's very, very temporary. So, it's not clear that was worth it. There's also other costs to this. The general Trump administration strategy of just doing whatever they want and not caring what any other country thinks, well, other countries don't like that. And you might get some short-term wins, but in the long term, the United States is a lot more powerful when it has friends, when it has partners, when it has allies, and it's going to be more difficult to get those when you act like an asshole. Especially when Venezuela's not the only threat he's threatened. He's actually threatened a lot of countries, including Greenland, which is part of Denmark. And so long term, this could really greatly weaken the United States. And even when Trump's gone, because other countries would think, well, yeah, maybe other presidents will be nicer to us. But they have to also know, well, if the American people elected one person like this, they might elect another. And so it's not a good strategy for them to rely on that. They just might have to assume that, the United States is unreliable. And long term, yeah, that at least will have some downsides, at the very least. Hey! Shit. Stop! Oh, what a shot. Now that was nice. I mean, it's kind of slow getting there, but alright, what else? Now, I'm probably forgetting some stuff I want to say. That's okay. It's too late now. What is this? How does this also hurts because at least propaganda-wise, at least the way a lot of people think, a lot of people are going to approach it. You know, the U.S. goes out there saying, "Hey, China shouldn't steal land from the South China Sea. They're stealing land from Vietnam. They're stealing the land from the Philippines. They're stealing land from a lot of countries out there. They also want to steal islands from Japan. Well, they shouldn't do that. They shouldn't use military force to take land, maritime land, take islands, create islands to basically steal, maritime land. That's not cool." And we're like, well, look how bad Putin is invading his neighbor to do regime change. And other countries are going to say, nah, you're full of crap because you do the same thing. Now, is it the same thing? No, because Ukraine is a democratic country that is rules by the will of its people. Taiwan also is now a democratic country that rules by the will of its people, and the people of Ukraine and the people of Taiwan don't want to be a part of Russia and China. Okay? While the U.S. on their hand, this action, they didn't invade Venezuela to make it part of the U.S. It's just trying to do a little regime change, and the regime change isn't to simply have a puppet. It's getting rid of an extremely illegitimate leader. And so, while yes, one downside to this action by Trump is that, any appeals to ethics arguing against the actions of Russia and China are going to fall on deaf ears. Just because that's true, argument-wise, people will consider that. I don't think they actually are the same. I think there's a pretty important difference. Main one being Taiwan and Ukraine not only are democratically elected, and those the Venezuela leader isn't just an authoritarian leader. He's an authoritarian leader with a really basic lack of legitimacy. Now, this is weakened a lot by that Trump doesn't seem to care about making Venezuela a democracy at all, or putting in anyone who the actual Venezuelan people choose. That is, unless it's more of a long-term. Yeah, we don't want the chaos, but long-term we'll push them. Which he doesn't seem really talking like that's the case, but maybe it could be, because long-term would probably be longer than his administration. So no, I don't think it justifies any of that. Anyways, what the hell did I just say here? It was a bit of a ramble. Let's try to sum up. Constitutional. It's obviously unconstitutional. The power to use military force is black and white with the Congress. Congress did not approve force. This was clearly a military operation forcing its way with force, killing people into Venezuela to achieve some sort of objective. Objective doesn't really matter. It was military force, whatever the objective was. And military force has to be approved by Congress or else it's illegal. This was illegal. It's been done before. Doesn't make it any more legal. It was also illegal when other presidents did it. And all presidents who do this should be immediately impeached. But that takes Congress having balls. That's not going to happen. Anywho, as far as whether this is a good idea, I wouldn't have done it. But I'm a lot more risk adverse than the Trump administration. Ultimately, it could work out well. I think there's serious self-defense reasons for wanting Venezuela not to be friends with Russia and China. I mean, there's this notion out there, and you could use Venezuela as an example, where people will be like, look, United States shouldn't meddle in other countries. Let's let Venezuela be Venezuela. What an ignorant thing to think. It's not like the choice is Venezuela being Venezuela or U.S. meddling. It's U.S. meddling or China and Russian meddling. Either way, there's meddling. Either way, there's great powers getting influence. And so if I have a choice between a dictator and giant threat to the world, Russia, or a dictator giant threat to the world, China, or the United States, which is also kind of a threat to the world, but less of a threat of the world, they are the good guys. Good guys being relative. Maybe they're all bad guys. Americans are more good guys than China and Russia. Anyways, I'm going to choose United States influence. And so, yeah, if it's not Venezuela being Venezuela, it's a Venezuela really screwed up, corrupt dictatorship being propped up with help from China, Russia, Cuba, Iran. All these countries are helping prop up this dictator who essentially is holding a tyranny over the Venezuelan people. So this isn't Venezuela being Venezuela. It's a corrupt drug lord dictator lording over a country with help from foreign evil dictatorships. or U.S. meddling. Those are the choices if you're being real. All right. This was supposed to be a sum, but then I forgot that I didn't say that, so I don't know if it's a summary anymore. But anyways, yeah, so do I think it was a good idea? I don't know. I wouldn't have done it, but I am generally risk adverse, and who knows, maybe if given all the factors and all the specialists talking to me, maybe I would change my mind. I don't know. Whether I think it was a good idea, it really depends on the outcome. Right now, we had one really awesome military success. But the goal, if the goal is reasonable, a goal that would really potentially make it worth it, is to have a friendly Venezuela. A Venezuela that is friendly to the U.S. And, of course, even greater if it's one that's good for the Venezuelan people and supported by the Venezuelan people. Let's not clear that any of those goals will be achieved, and as right now, they have not been, because the Maduro regime is still in power. And so, hey, if it all turns out well in the long run, remember, long run is, many years, probably decades, okay? You want a friendly Venezuela for decades. If like, oh, you did something and it fell apart in 5 years, no, that wasn't worth it. I could be a supporter of this. At least hindsight 2020, I could be a supporter of this. I'm not black and white against it, but it's really risky. We don't know if it's going to work out well, and honestly, if it doesn't, it's gonna. It was a decision made by the Trump administration, and they're going to bear the fault of the consequences. All right. Well, that's basically all I have to say on that for now. If I think of anything else, I'll say it. I guess I only got 6 holes left, so I'm just going to finish playing this golf game, and I'm going to stream it. And if I think of anything else, I'll say it. I don't think I have any commenters, but if I get any, I'll respond. And I guess I'm just going to play this golf game. I hope it's very exciting. This is pretty hard. This is a level that the first time I did it, it went really well. And then, like, every time that... Ooh! Stuff like that happens. See how close that was? So, I got to wait for these flying sheep to get out of the way. And then, I need to not hit the rock. And then... See, I'm either too short or too far, but I swear, the first time I played this, after I knew to dodge the sheep, I just nailed it. Like, it wasn't hard. And so I don't know why, it's almost like the game map changed and they made it harder. What really is the first time I played it, I just got a little lucky. Oh my god. Oh, and I probably want to go in there to get a refresh. Because if I go in there, it'll refresh my jetpack. By the way, this game normally doesn't have jetpacks. I put the levels on random, and it just happened to be the level that has jetpacks and bombs and stuff. None of the levels have stuff like that. They all have some weird stuff, but this is the weirdest. Man, I don't know. I don't think I need that lower one. Okay, first of all, do I have guardrails? I do. So, basically, there's little ledge... Instead of just a flat ledge, there's like a piece of wood that will hold me on. Meaning, if I go at a slight angle, I might be able to be held in. I don't know why I'd go at an angle, but look, I hate this game. I hate this damn game. I could also go around. Obviously, there's a way to go around, but like I know that I could do it without going around because I've done it before. Look at that! Look at that! Now that's, boom, tough acting to acting. Let's see, alright. Hole 14. Guess I want to try to get in there. That'd be nice. I'm pretty sure it's possible to do it in one shot. And of course, I didn't do it. Now, I don't even know if I'm going to get it in 2 shots. Because I suck. Shit. Oh my god. Well... This isn't a good start. Oh my god. Oh, it looked good until the very end there. No, I'm just gonna put it in front of it. No, because if I try something fancy, it's possible I'm gonna get it off in the corner somewhere, and I'll be even worse off. I'm just playing it safe there. Play it safe. I'm not playing against any competitors, so I pretty much automatically win. Alright. Oh yeah, looking good. Looking good, boy. Yeah, another thing to think about is international law, and I'm going to be honest, I'm more focused on constitutional law. I think international law matters. It helps set some rules to the games. It may help limit bad behavior. Helps us be more of a society rather than just a bunch of countries. I mean, we're still going to be just a bunch of countries, don't get me wrong. But, it's possible it could prevent conflict when it otherwise wouldn't. Of course, you know, the UN has, at least a few times, solved some diseases. Not that many times, but... And so I do think that does hurt the United States by hurting international law, because international law helps the United States. For the most part. Helps us justify things we want to do when we can get international law to agree. Because often international law is just defined by do other countries agree that it's legal. And so I do think we should try to follow international law when we can. But also, the U.S. has a right to self-defense. Even when there is no even when it can't be argued very well to be international law. Now this one, you want to go down here. So what I've always done is I go all the way over there, and then you come back. That really is the smart way to do it. But I'm pretty sure there's a way to get down here in one. Because if you bounce it and get it to bounce down this way, I should be able to just come right back. But I don't really know how to get it to do that. But I really feel like it should be possible. You know, to somehow bounce back that way and get a hole in one. Oh shit. But oh well, I have no idea how to do that. So let's just get over here. The main thing is I need to get in here, not bounce all the way off, and then I just gotta go fly back. And remember, I'm not going back to the top I just came from. I'm going to a level right below it. Did I just screw this? Because for some reason why am I angled to the left? I don't know why I was angled to the left. I don't know. I don't know why I was angled to the left. I mean, obviously because I screwed it up and shot myself to the left. Am I just in a really bad position? Because I want to hit... so I don't run out of stuff, I want to hit the other ones. Well, yeah, I don't feel like I'm that bad of a position. You see that? Gives me more jetpack. Oh, stay down, stay down. I just don't want to bounce all the way off. Now, I really don't want to hit it too hard, because I don't want to fall off. Oh, beautiful. Alright. Oh, I thought that was the last one. I still got 2 more holes left. I'm done talking. Right. I don't know what I'm doing. Okay. I'm just gonna go like this. Yeah! Okay. I was so, like, focused on... Gosh, you know what? I think I've gotten this first try every time before. And now I can't. It looks like you'd also go a low route, but I feel like a high route just feels better. I'm just going to go low route because it's obviously going to be easier on at least on the first try. Let's see. All right. Okay. Let's just go like this. Oops. Uh-oh, these bombs might blow me in a way I don't like. Oh, god damn it. I don't know if I wanted to waste my charge because I want that. Ooh. Let's go full power and see what happens. No! Oh my god. Well, that was obviously possible. I just screwed it up. Okay, let's just try to get to the next one. Oh my god. What a disaster. Okay, we got the middle one. I'm out of where I can look and see what's happening and fly. You only have a certain amount of time to be able to do that. Alright. Yeah, I don't know. I'm gone. I'm done. Oh, there's water down here. You can jump in water. It's a realistic golf game. Sure. Alright. Just don't go back up. It's not going to. Alright, let's see if we can sink this putt. Do it too hard, it's going to bounce out. Do it too soft. Won't reach it. Nailed it. Ooh, almost too hard to look like, but got it. Alright, one more hole, and we'll call this a stream. Ooh, I have water. happening here? Oh, alright. I know the best thing here. Let's go like this. I'd really like to just kind of have one of these things blow me over there, but I need to be in front of it and probably not that far to the left. Ooh, actually, that almost worked. Ooh, it did. I thought that thing was going to hit me. Oh, it did hit me. Ooh, but it kind of went okay. Let's get going before another thing comes and kills me. Oh, oh. Can I stand here? Or is it going to reset me here? Reset me. Lame. Oh my god. There's no guardrails over there. Oh, what a disaster. Nope. I wanted to make it up there. My goal is to make it up there. Oh, but now I might be close enough where I can just shoot over. I am. Depending on if I land next to a bomb. Okay. Oh yeah, easy. Oh, it should be easy. I'll probably screw it up, but this shouldn't be a hard shot. Oh! Woo! All right. Well, we started strong. Obviously, it'd be nice to be par. I don't think I've ever hit par as far as like on 18 holes. I don't think I ever have. But I started strong. Look at that. Met it. 1 under, 1 under, 1 under. Oop, oop. All right. Oh, disaster. Bad, bad. Not bad, not bad. Pretty bad. Not bad. Pretty bad. Horrible. Not bad. All right. Anywho. I'm Lone Candle. And did I have a sign-off? Did I? Ooh, I got Christmas pudding. Oh, yeah, I can make my ball look like Christmas pudding. I don't want my ball to look like Christmas pudding. I want something cool. Gives me Christmas pudding instead of something cool. What you gonna do? What you gonna do? Right. Well, I'm Lone Candle. Like me? Comment me. Love me. End stream. Those are my only choices. I didn't want that. I didn't get any of these. Oh man, okay. Let's see. This needs to be. This shouldn't still say live. It should say done streaming.